Welcome to the Sons of Liberty podcast, coming to you from the Liberty Tree Studio in San Antonio, Texas, where we discuss topics of the day, firearms, great food, and even better whiskey. Grab a drink, sit down with your host, the founding daddies, Mike Mahalski and Kyle Grothus.
Guess I'm starting off. All right, guys. Welcome to the Sons of Liberty podcast here with Christian Craighead, our good buddy, and Mike, obviously.
Yes. Obviously.
He's always here. We can't get rid of him. That's true.
Oh, man. Dude, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. And this came about pretty fast.
We
only came out last week.
Yeah. I saw you at a restaurant. You're like, hey, want to do a podcast?
Yeah. It was the whole, we should have asked about this, or there's so many questions I could have asked. And I said, well, let's just do another one.
Yeah. So, I mean, we did our podcast, I guess, before the Sean Ryan podcast had come out, your episode. And whenever, you and I had talked, obviously, we know each other pretty well. We hung out quite a bit. You and I had talked about, there were some things that you were a little bit reluctant to cover or like kind of go over. And so then I didn't want to ask anything uncomfortable. Then having watched the episode with Sean Ryan, man, like, dude, your story is, everybody knows you from the Nairobi incident, dude, but your story is way deeper and more like just bigger than that. I mean, that's how I guess people know you, but having your career was intense.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get ahead of ourselves, but the bottom line I used to say was that I was training for that day in Nairobi all my life, and then maybe beyond that now. But and that's just the Nairobi incident is part of my life. But yeah, leading from the moment I was born all the way up to that day where I'd been in training. Yeah, and I had a really remarkable career. I won't go into too much detail about my career in the Special Air Service, but I did have an unusual career, and everything was preparing me for that. And not only my military career, but all the way up to just in life in general.
Wow. How many times did you deploy?
Right, I need to 17 operational deployments. 17
Yeah. What is it?
And people might question again. Everyone catches me out, and I always say this: that I spend too much time worrying about what people think.
Yeah.
If any of my friends out there are going, "That's not true," hit me up, and I'll reel them all off to you. I had a very unusual career, and
how did you squeeze 17 operational deployments in?
A bit of luck, but also putting myself. There's people say being in the right place at the right time. Is that a thing? Maybe. But I think a lot of the time is putting yourself at the right place at the right time is more important.
How long is that? How long were your deployments on average?
Some of them were short. The shortest, I class anything over 3 months as a deployment. So some of them were 3 months, and some of them, one of them was over a year. Well over a year. But
I think a lot of guys are familiar with the U.S. military. Always think like, oh man, he was gone for 17 years.
Well, no, but like,
yeah.
So like, Glenn was on Team 3 and Team 1, like I think their deployments were like 6 or 7 months, but some dudes were able to like come back and go right back out, or like, some guys could stay late. I mean, like, there was ways. Sometimes you were lucky or unlucky, but there were ways to just to stack them up.
And sometimes for me it was a case of they asked me, and because everyone was giving the whole, I've got a family and blah blah blah, I need some time at home. Fine. And they said, can you do it? And I said, is there no one else at my level who can do this? And they were like, well, we're just asking. I went, yeah, I'll do it. But it's all about putting yourself out there, and that's how that came about. And that's spaced up. But the thing is, I was in the military for 28 years, but from 1992 when I joined until 1999, there was really not that much going on.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 happened. It changed everyone's lives, and then things started picking up from then.
When did you join the SAS?
In 2006.
Yeah.
Mom. Did you cover it? I remember on the other episode, like your first like engagement with the enemy.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the so I covered it on Sean Ryan. We'll do some podcast shout outs. The guys from Unsubscribed.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I like this show.
We started talking about that, and then we got completely sidetracked about something else. But yeah, I didn't. So I first used lethal force in 2003 in the invasion of Iraq. So I'd been in the military for just over, over at that time it was 10 years. It would have been nearly 11, but 10 years. And for me, it was. So I'm going to caveat this with I'm not a psychopath, or I think, but using lethal force, killing someone was the proudest moment of my life. It was the moment. Because I'd been training, and the reason, and it's not because of that you could say the act of taking someone's life is not very pleasant. That's what someone could say.
That's what some people could say. Not me, but no. Some people.
But it's more about even playing what we used to call armies or Japs in English as a kid. You know, you're running around with toy guns or sticks. It's the act of you pretending to kill people. Then I joined the Army Cadets at 12 years old, doing drill stuff and shooting. Again, it's kind of based around killing people. And then you join the Army, which, whatever trader does, you still learn how to use guns and shoot targets that look like human beings. So it's about killing people. But if you join like a high achieving unit, like for me it's the Parachute Regiment, which would be the equivalent of joining like the Ranger Regiment in the United States, it's like that's what you're striving to do. It's you're being indoctrinated to it's kill and prove yourself in combat if you like. So when I joined the army in 92 and into the actual unit at 90 A unit at 93, not many people would kill people. There was the Falklands War in 1982, but it was still a unique thing. So a lot of conversations would be based around, could you do it? You don't know. And like people say, you don't know, you've never known until you know, and all that kind of stuff. So when it came to me, not only did I, it wasn't really about the act of taking someone's life. It's the act of how it happened, the intensity, the life or death situation, kill or be killed, quick to react, all these things, and I'd done well, and the friends with me, we all survived. So that was the feeling. So it wasn't really about, yes, I've killed someone, tick the box. It's more about how it was all packaged.
I would imagine I've never been in any kind of scenario like that, man. So I mean, from the outside looking in, but it seems like there would be a bit of a validation of the years of training, like culminating into like this moment of truth. You know.
Yeah. Maybe, but the how it happened was particularly odd as well. So it wasn't, but it provided more lessons later on in life, even more so when I retired and thinking it, and when I was writing a book that maybe one day you may read. But that book, it made me reflect on that even more, especially about mindset. And do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, I mean,
hell yeah.
I would,
so again, I'll abbreviate this just because of time, but I was in a unit.
Take all the time you want, man. This is fascinating, dude. I mean,
Story time with Uncle Christian.
I was in a unit called the Pathfinder Platoon, it was such like a brigade reconnaissance force. Very hard selection, small amount of members, and it's like an elite unit with itself. I was the team leader of a patrol that was tasked to do a close target reconnaissance. So that's getting close to the enemy and gather intelligence. The enemy in question was an Iraqi armored division with thousands of troops, and they were hunkered up along the side of a road. So my mission is to get in and do a close target reconnaissance. My normal team size was 6 members, but when I was planning this mission, because of I was just worried about the noise that we could generate and just being stealthy, so I only took 3 members, three guys in with me. And the one of those guys had a sniper rifle, and he would provide overwatch. Another guy had an M249, a Mini-Me, and I had the famed SA-80 assault rifle with a 40 Mike grenade launcher underneath. We had hand grenades and Browning high-power pistols. I also had a radio to call in for air support if we needed it, even though it wasn't tasked to us, so it'd be a long drawn-out process if we needed it. So the loose plan was we'd get close to the enemy, sniper would set up, give overwatch, and then me and the other guy called Larry would close in, and that's what we sort of planned to do. So we set off at night. So we got to like a drop-up position with the vehicles, and they'd be and with another patrol, and they'd provide like a quick reaction unit, and then we set off on foot towards the armored division. Now, when we set off on foot, we were going, and the going was really hard. So we're going cross country, and there's like these like big lumps of sand with grass and things, and it was really, really difficult. So in my mind, I was thinking, firstly, maybe not reach the target, because we only had that hours of darkness to do this in. And even worse would be if we get caught in the daylight, because remember, this is an armored division, so they've got the reach and the firepower to do some damage. So I pulled in the two guys together and say, look, we're not going to make it. I'm the team leader, but I want to put this out there because it goes against our principles. Let's get onto the track, move fast down the track, and then as we get, there was a set of power lines before the armored division. Let's use them power lines as a demarcation line and get off, and then get towards the target area. So we said, yeah, let's do that. So we'll get on the track. It's me leading. Then there's Larry with the M249, and then behind him is Paddy with the sniper rifle. And we're moving down, spaced out about 10 yards, and we're moving down, still tactical, but it's making up the speed and making up the time. As we come towards the power lines, again, something just, my small pack was starting to ache in my shoulders, so I stopped to adjust it. And as I stopped to adjust it, I heard talking behind a berm. So there's like a 6-foot berm paralleling the track all the way down to my right hand side. So I stop and I hear Arabic behind the berm, and like my heart freezes, and I turn and I look down with night vision goggles at the guys coming up behind, and I put my thumb down, which is like seeing enemy forces pointing. They stop and react, turn immediately, and then I'm like ushering them to come closer. So they all close in.
Was that night or during the day?
It's at night time.
Did you have not?
We're on night vision, yeah. And I say to them, I said, look, I think voices back, it's trying to be super quiet, voices back, and over there, and I have a quick look over the top, just very slowly, this is like trying to walk. It's similar to, when you come home, if you've ever come home drunk and you weren't supposed to be drunk and you sneak in, that sort of stealth mode. But
I'd have been good at this.
But not knocking things over. Moving to the berm, and I slowly look over the berm, and I can see about eight, a minimum of 8, but a group of Iraqi soldiers are all out, and they're just shooting the shit really. But what they were doing is, just as I was using that power line as a demarcation line to set off onto our close target reconnaissance, they were doing the same thing on the backside. They were probably using that to put a standing patrol, or like a standing patrol or sentry position out there.
Yeah.
So I slowly back from it, and as we move back to them, I'm like, whether it be me moving or just sheer bad luck, all we'll see is someone stand up from the back, comes in full view of the berm. So immediately I raise my rifle, take a shot. Don't know if I hit him or not. I'm 99.9% sure I hit him, but then my weapon jammed straight away. And he dropped. He went down straight away, and then I pull out I don't know what instinct went into my pocket. I had like a Velcro flap thing. Ripped out a high explosion grenade, ran up, threw down a high explosive grenade into the central mass of all these armed soldiers. That went off. There was a bit of a muffle, scream or whatever, and I pulled out my Browner high power, and then just went to work with all these threats. And there were still threats, because it's not like the movies where if you throw a grenade and everything disintegrates. It's like there's chances all injured, more than most are injured, but still very much a threat. So then I get to work and I shoot 5 of them with a Browner high power pistol, and my left, Larry's making music with his M429 and dealing with with threats there, and then Paddy's to my right throwing hand grenades into like potential depth, anything following up, and then it's like after this whole like furious like what felt like 30 seconds was probably about 3 seconds, and then I was like, right, let's go, and then we bounded back, so they worked as a pair and then me covering, and we just bounded and not firing, just bounding, and then once you got onto the bit of the road, I was like, turn right, let's fucking go, and then we hauled ass about to just short of 2 miles to a point where we'd already established was like a pickup point and we got the radio out. So Paddy set up his sniper rifle, waiting for any threats, and then I got the radio out. We had voice comms with the other sponsor patrols and say we had a contact, and then they came. And they took a while to pick us up, but they picked us up, and that was it.
Yeah, so much for reconnaissance after that, huh?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was, and then got back to headquarters, and give like the quick debrief to the brigade commander. He was impressed and things like that, and saw the padre, took communion there because again I didn't feel bad, but he'd see something had changed me, and he said, "Do you want to hold communion?" So we took Holy Communion, and then wrote a report up, and then went to sleep that night. And then, like when I went to sleep like a kid who got the best Christmas present ever. I was like, up, and I was like, this is brilliant. And because it was that thing about being tested, and then not just me, but all three of us doing the right thing, and each and every some of all our parts saved each other's lives.
I'd imagine it'd be like, like all your entire life growing up and, playing football in the backyard, playing in high school, playing in college, and finally throwing like a touchdown in the NFL, but with a grenade.
Man, that is incredible, dude. What, and the rest of your team and the crew, I mean, like, is it, had any of the other guys that you were with, had they gotten in any direct action or any?
No, that was everyone's first time. And then the people who were with us all ended up in like the unit or special units and things. So it was a good team anyway. And like the majority, I think bar one, all ended up in like either the SS or something specialist in its own right.
And then from that, I mean, the next day you get up, do you go back on patrol?
Yeah, next day we went. So one thing I'll tie that bit off was one of the things I should have said about it when we got given the task. It was something Dusit being held back for my patrol, and it was kind of a certainty that we'd get into contact with the enemy, even though that's not the aim. It was kind of the commander, the officer commanding, he said to me, look, this is like super high risk, and if you don't want to do it, if you think it's not a like valid task, you don't have to do it. We can come up with another way. And I went, no, let's roll with it. Let's do it. And everyone else wanted to do it as well. And it's the same with, like I explained to the rest of the guys who all wanted to come along. There's no one wanted to hang back. But I said, look, it's got to only be 3. And because of the weapons that the guys had, that's why it's those 3. Us 3, I should say. And so it was, but the thing about it was, it was so certain something was going to happen. Like before we went out that night, completely, even we all stripped our magazines down and everything just because it was so certain, like, hey, you're going to get into a fight, or it's highly likely. So everyone thought about it, and then but there's another, like my life. Someone should tie all these podcasts together because there's always bits of it that I miss out and bits of it. But en route there that night, we're driving down the motorway in Iraq, across the river. And the sunset was going down. It was like a movie scene, and there was this mound of like a big mound in the desert, about 100 yards away. And as the sun was going down, there's a big black dog on top of the mound, just staring at us. And I said to Larry, who was driving, and I was in the commander seat, I said, "Black dog looking at us." I said, in like in ancient folklore and myth, that when the devil comes to planet Earth, when he comes to Earth, he manifests himself as a black dog. I think bad shit's going to happen tonight. So.
That'd be eerie.
and then so that happened. But when it happened, what I'm saying is, had that been like a standard patrol and all that happened, would we reacted the same way? And all goes about mindset and about being conditioned. And I think, well, because we were so keyed up and so expecting something to happen, that's why we reacted as we did. Had it been completely caught off guard, it might have been a different outcome.
So, as a gun guy and an armorer, why did that rifle jam?
So my theory behind it all is, I kind of know, is because with the S80, the cock and handle moves, and because I had like a dark windproof jacket on, I think it hooked on my clothing, and then stopped it from riding forward. That was the kind of stoppage it was.
So you had a reciprocating charging handle that caught on your clothing.
That's what I think happened.
That doesn't sound like an optimal design issue there. That sounds like a flaw.
I mean, we all know. I mean, it does anger me about if anyone tries to defend it, and it's a typical British thing when someone says, "Oh yeah, it got better." Well, you can be a woman who's pig fucking ugly and put makeup on. It makes you a little bit better, but you're still fucking ugly.
Yeah.
So that's a way of like describing it. It's like you can't polish a turd. You can roll it in glitter, but you can't. It's still a turd.
It's still a turd covered in glitter.
And that's the thing is, people, it's not that, but it got better. It was still shit. And anyone who tries to defend it, you got like I know guns are can be a topical thing, but to me, if you're defending that gun, it's accurate. That's one thing it is, and that's its probably only quality, because it's not balanced right. It's heavy. It takes a lot of maintenance. It's a terrible, and the fact that it's been in service for so long just shows you that someone in the British government has probably been making a lot of money out of this.
Isn't that a Monty Python skit where he's like, "Oh, got better"?
Well,
anyway, that was a bit of a rant about.
And I
said it famously on the first podcast I ever did on Black Rifle. Do you know what it is? If anyone says, "Oh," and people might. I'm very disappointed if you think the S80 is a good weapon or isn't that bad, but you're following this podcast. I don't know what you're doing here, but it's like I call it. It's the jazz music. It's the fucking jazz music of guns. It's like no one really likes jazz music. It's like, really, no one does. And if they do, it's just a statement. Oh, I like jazz music. Yeah, okay, all right, you're middle class now. Okay, you made a bit of money, just like you and with your wine collection and stuff. And then it's just like, but they don't really like it. They're making a statement. It's the same thing as Outgun. It's like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. It's like it's shit. It's just
there's gonna be some guy in the comments to be like, "Fuck you, I love jazz music."
Yeah, that's the thing. It's actually true. I've tried so hard, so many times to get into it. I've gone to these jazz clubs and gone to these invites, and there's just the rhythm of it, like, it gives me anxiety. I can't
blues. I like blues, but jazz, jazz is. It's.
I mean, there's probably some elements of jazz that I would like, but let's say as a generalist thing, it's mainly liked by people who don't really like it. They're just making a statement because they're affluent white middle-aged males.
It's good. It's good background music.
So I think jazz is more of a. And this is, I'm a fucking music junkie, and I love good music, especially live music, man. But I think jazz is almost more about the musicians than about the audience, right? In the sense of like
what I'm getting at is like it's like a statement. It's
like musical masturbation.
It's like, oh yeah, I like jazz, and you're like, oh, you put it on and you have your dinner party and you have jazz playing. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, really incredible, incredible musicians. But like to me, when I go hear jazz, to me what it sounds like there's like 5 solos going on at the same time. You know, it's not like a fucking cohesive. To my fucking ear, it doesn't sound like a cohesive organized sound. You know?
There goes Timmy again. Fuck.
But that's the thing. There's some element without going off course, but there's some elements of jazz music that I probably like and things. But it's just more of the statement of people liking something that they don't really like, and they're just saying it because they want to
be cultured,
or got a comment, or in the British Army.
Yeah, I have my playlist is pretty fucking eclectic, and there's not a single jazz song on there.
Well, I think that might be on mine, but I think it's like if you class Nina Simone as jazz.
I might have a few, man. I was listening to a playlist the other day on YouTube as Whiskey Blues, and it had a picture of the guy from freaking Peaky Blinders on there. It was like the background picture of it. And it was actually really good, but it was blues, not jazz. So it was that one was actually pretty good, just leaving the background while you're drinking or cooking or whatever.
Yeah, no. Anyways, when did you trade that rifle in for an M4?
When I joined the SAS. And before that, the Pathfinders used to had the old M16 A2s. Mm-hmm. That was their weapon, and then all of a sudden they said you couldn't use them. And now I believe they've got the C8 DeMarcos. I think they've had them for a good 10 years now, but it's good to see that they've got that weapon system.
The rifle that you used in Nairobi, is that an issued rifle?
Yes, that was a Canadian C8.
Canadian C8. What rail was on there? Do you remember?
No, I don't know what it.
I got you.
I don't know. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, I don't think I'd seen. I'm actually not familiar with, like, I know some people are huge on the collector side for like the DeMarco guns, and like there's actual markings on the forgings and stuff that denote it. Yeah, I'm not familiar with like the Canadians.
I know they're nice rifles. I mean, they had cold hammer forged barrels and stuff. I remember we used to buy the Canadian Colt freaking cold hammer forged FSB barrels years and years and years ago, just to screw around with. But I mean, they seemed like solid guns. I mean, the specs were a little higher than a M4 back in the day. I don't know if they still are or not. But.
I mean, everything you could always improve it, but it was a good gun. It's not in use by UK Special Forces anymore.
No,
but they got a new one. But it's
no, I think Knights just did
Knights
the
just won. Yeah,
Knights won
it's
a
after
contract.
It happened after I left. So
no, I mean I think it's pretty common knowledge. I think Knights. I think Reptilia has some parts on there.
I know they have the optics mount and a few other things.
What is the optic? It's a Vortex, right?
Yeah, it's that Vortex, the small 1 to 10, I think.
The short 1 to 10. Yeah. It's a
good
looking rifle.
Again, it happened after I left, just so any legal people. But it might be. Is it not Night Force? It could be Night Force.
Pretty sure it's a Vortex. Yeah.
I thought it was a Vortex.
I don't know what. Maybe I just.
It's a really good looking rifle. I mean, I've seen it. It's beautiful, but
it's got. Let's kick the hornet's nest. In my opinion, that setup with the LVP or whichever type it is, and a aimpoint acro, you may have seen my Sons of Liberty gun with that setup on as well. And what I call that is it's a desktop. It's it's a desktop warrior setup, or an Instagram warrior, or do you know why? And Mike was in on this. Is when I was running out the gun, the Sons of Liberty gun, I said I'm going to put this setup on, because on paper, what's not to love about it? You've got a LVPO, which you can use as I do, as like an assault platform, or you can put it onto ×10 from the one I've got, the Vortex, and it's great. And you've got the aim point on top to use for however, whether it be a backup, for indexing, for night vision, whatever you want to do. And it ticks all boxes, and it sounds good. That's what I'm saying. It ticks all boxes, and it's good on paper. Here's where it gets difficult: is when I ran that gun out, I picked it up and I didn't take it off for good reason, and I wanted to carry it around and use it all day, getting in and out of the car, not putting it down to load, carrying on. And at the end of that day, I took it off and put on a red dot sight. Took it off, and someone said, "Why are you taking it off? Was that too heavy?" And that's the thing. It's the same with. It's like, oh yeah, it sounds good, it feels good, and you pick it up and you shoot it on the range. You put it down when in between loading up, and because you're not deployed anymore, and then you do some exercises which don't last very long, or whatever, and you do your drills, high five each other, and it's good. But then you do it for real, and you're walking and carrying it more than you're firing it, and you're getting in and out of cars with it more than you're firing it, and you're doing other things more than you're firing it. And then after the first, I'd say 24 hours, you're thinking, this gun's too fucking heavy. I need to remove some stuff off it right now. And especially if you do most of your shooting in night and stuff, and again, you're not doing the math. You're going, I was doing most of my shooting within 10 yards or within 25 yards. And I've never, this is not me speaking, but you could say, and I've very rarely, or if ever, shot anyone at 150 plus
Really?
So why
I mean-
am I? Why am
I mean,
I?
even as a
and so
civilian-
why have I got all this hardware? But that's the thing is, and it's like when you're a cop or a SWAT officer. Again, you might be standing around more than you're actually assaulting the building, and it just becomes heavy. And that's why it's on paper it's a great idea. Well, that's it, and it's a lot of money and it's a good site, but like hopefully they've got the choice. People have the choice to have like an endpoint or an EOTech or something on there.
I mean, outside of an end of the world situation as a civilian, I mean, if you're shooting at a dude at 400 yards, I mean, you're probably going to fucking jail. I mean, as a cop's a different situation, obviously, but as a civilian, I mean, carrying around, I mean, I love LVPOs. I got them a bunch of guns, but I mean, reality, I mean, unless you're hunting or something, I mean, you're not going to be shooting at.
I mean, it's a thing.
Defending yourself with
It's like I say, it's doing what you do most of all. And people might look and say, and I'm not saying it's wrong. So let's get that out there. I should have put that. The fact it's not wrong. It's just someone's opinion.
Yeah.
And that's everyone's got an opinion. But the people who are buying the guns have got this opinion. And like I say, I call it like it's a recce setup or whatever. But it's also a desktop warrior because it sounds good. It ticks all boxes. It's going to be great. It's very versatile. But again, if you're carrying it all day, every day, it starts getting a bit annoying. And I know, and maybe because I've got spaghetti arms or something, who knows? But the that comes to play, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's the same with the barrel lengths, and it kind of 13.7, 13.9, like it's the most. I think it's the barrel length. It's like but that said, 11.5 is very appealing. To me, because it's that same notion about weight and carrying it, and if you're carrying it more than you're shooting it, and then if 90% plus of your time is all in a building or expected to be in a building, it's like it's shaving off. So but my current weapon set up in the 13.7 barrel. So.
Yeah, so you're the way we designed your rifle is actually around like probably my favorite rifle that we build in this, that 13.7 with that XL device, 13.75 L89 rail, and where there's basically, I mean, like that rail comes right up to the back of the suppressor,
It's
so
there.
I mean,
Do you know, if you know?
No, I see it here, and that thing is very shootable. Like that mid gas system on that 13.7, dude, it feels like a pellet gun, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just extremely flat.
And that's what I was getting at. It's like for me, it's the real sweet spot. And when people will say about what I'm trying to get at, it's just another. I maybe didn't explain it right. Is for the shorter barrel, I can see why it's not just about CQB. It's about if you have it in your car, or if you have it or carryability and things like that. So
The issue, like,
but for me, that's why we did it.
yeah, this is a point that fucking frustrates me, and like, don't get me started, man. So. Like 13.7, I mean, I do believe that there is a purpose for a general purpose rifle. They, like down here in Texas, man, like, you ride around with that, and God forbid it's there if you need it for self-defense, but, we're riding around on the ranch. It's also there if you want to shoot a hog at 300 yards or shoot a coyote or something like that. I grew up around cattle, stuff like that, and like you did not leave to go anywhere on the property without a rifle, because if you saw a coyote or something, you shot that fucker, especially if you have cattle, calves and, chickens and everything else, right? So, like, to me, like a general purpose rifle to be able to get a little bit of ass on that bullet at distance and shoot out. But you have to remember, too, one of the reasons why you 13.7 is like our most popular rifle that we sell. I wonder if that would be true if we didn't have stupid-ass NFA laws. Okay, if we didn't have stupid-ass NFA laws to where things were short-barrel rifles, I bet you an 11.5 or 12.5 would actually be a more popular gun. And I remember there was a time, it was under the Trump administration, where the ATF made a ruling out of the blue that that pistol braces, even if you shouldered it, did not change the nomenclature of the gun. Just because if I put a Glock against my shoulder, it doesn't change the nomenclature of the gun. The Glock at that point doesn't become a fucking rifle just because I did something stupid and put it on my shoulder. That was this ruling, and when they did that, it kind of blew things wide open, and it almost, I think, saved the gun industry, because we were all in the Trump slump at the time. Whenever Trump won the first time, gun sales went through the fucking floor. Mm-hmm. And it was after that ruling, or that opinion, not ruling, but that opinion by the ATF, it popularized pistol braces, And everybody ran out and got a short gun. Everybody. I mean, that was just all we were doing. And then with the reversal of that opinion, I mean, for us, it killed a couple $1 million worth of purchase orders. Like, I mean, overnight.
Not only that, you had a lot of people in the industry they thought fucking Hillary was going to win, so they had ramped up and bought they had tons of inventory laying around. We didn't have the money to do that at the time, but everybody, I mean, forgings. Remember, everybody was buying up the forgings and shit. So not only was there a slump, everybody was just selling shit for nothing.
Yeah, no, because exactly, everybody ramped up. But getting back to what you're saying, though, as far as the 11.5, 12.5. That would be, I think the 12.5 would be the most popular rifle to just do everything if there was not stupid ass NFA laws. And the more international work that we do, the more we export to different countries, you realize for as awesome as the United States is when it comes to gun law, I mean, like there's 1 billion guns on the planet, 500 million of them are here in the commercial market. For as badass as we are at that, we're the only country that gives a shit about barrel length. You know, I mean, all the commercial stuff we export anywhere else, there's no NFA laws in Italy. You know,
I mean, it's like we're working with a distributor in Poland now, and they said that they're most of what they're bringing in is 11.5. So I mean, because there's no as long as you have a permit to own a gun, you can own whatever gun you want.
Fucking Canada, dude. If you buy a shotgun, as long as it was made to 12 inches at the factory, completely legal. Now, if you take a shotgun and saw the barrels off of it, that's a felony. If you buy it like that from the factory, so fuck you. And when Canadians have, at least one aspect of better gun law than we do, there's something sad there. I mean, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on the, but you are right. But you think this thing's too unwieldy, the weight of the rifle, or is it the optic and the setup?
What we're talking about?
Your rifle.
No, I think it's spot on.
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying that's why we did it.
I mean, that's why you see Vortex. I mean, that's why I think, the UK went with that light Vortex optic. That's why you see optics getting lighter. You see a lot of stuff getting lighter now is because of the weight.
And the thing about that, as we talked about the barrel length, is that's the versatile.
Yeah.
So that's good. If you want to do CQB, I think it's right on the cusp of, again, you can do CQB with anything. No. But it's a right length, it's for weight, for size, and then it gives you the reach if you need to, if most of your engagements or your planned engagements, whatever they are going to be at a bit of range, then it gives you that lethality and reach, or not so much reach, but lethality.
Did you see that rancher, I think he was in Arizona, that recently they declared a mistrial. Mm-hmm. They couldn't convict him. And the reason why I bring this up is because you were saying for a civilian, it would be hard to articulate why you shot someone at a few hundred yards. I
don't even think he shot him. He was shooting in the fucking air.
Well, according to his defense attorney, he was just shooting in the air, But yeah, he had there were some
like guys around his barn or some shit.
No, there were some illegal trespassers going through there, and supposedly it was like a pretty heavy trafficked like drug area, and supposedly he fired some rounds in that general direction, according to his attorney, and just all of them happened to. Shot a real tight group. Just no, but they declared a mistrial. I don't think they're going to bring it back to.
No, I highly doubt it.
Well, anyways,
what range was that? What range?
I think it was over 100 yards. I think it was like 100, 150 yards, if I remember right. And I think he was shooting the fucking AK, wasn't he?
It was an AK, yeah.
Yeah, open sight AK. I mean, if he hit him, it was totally by accident. I mean,
yeah. Well, he's claiming that he didn't even fire the. They never recovered. I don't think they recovered like a projectile. I think he's claiming that he didn't actually shoot the guy.
Yeah, they never recovered a projectile. That's why they couldn't do shit about it. They didn't know who the fuck shot him, and they said they thought one of the other illegals shot him, and this, that, and the other, and they couldn't prove one way or the other. So,
speaking of which, real quick, not to get too far off the tangent, did you hear about the situation up in North Carolina where like there's a colonel up there stationed? He's out of Bragg. He's on a special unit, and there was some Chechens on his property, like taking pictures of his family, and some kind of confrontation happened, and he ended up shooting one of them. The cover story for this guy, for the dead Chechen, was that he worked for a utility company, and that's why he was there, like checking out the power lines.
Yeah, he was up on the power lines, like taking pictures of his backyard or some shit. Yeah,
right. Now this guy had no uniform at all. He had no uniform. He had absolutely no utility equipment or power equipment. No ID, no badge, and it was after dark.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, and you know, I don't think it's. You have no tools. You don't have a uniform. You have no badge, no identification. You happen to be in the backyard of like, you know.
Didn't bring my wire strippers, but I brought my telephoto lens because that makes fucking sense.
Yeah, and so what's interesting, I've been following this. The local police department that is investigating this, they seem to be more frustrated, not at the fact that one of their residents shot somebody. They're more frustrated that like the FBI has not picked up the investigation as to why this Chechen.
Yeah, what the fuck was going on?
Yeah.
Have
you heard about this?
I had loosely. I saw memes about it, but
No.
as if that's how I get my news these days. But
One meme at a time.
and but have they confirmed that as the power company or telephone company confirmed that he worked for them? Or?
I have not seen that. If they had, I mean, I'd actually like to find that out. I don't know, but what are you doing at like after dark with no tools, no?
The fact that we haven't heard a lot about it in the mainstream news tells me that something fucked up was probably going on.
Yeah, that's bizarre, man. What was the like for OPSEC and stuff whenever you were in? I mean, did people know that you were in the SAS, or did you? I mean, like,
Not really. No, I didn't. I didn't. I told some members of family, and they kind of knew, but no one knew.
so after this fucking engagement, what was the rest of that deployment like? Was it pretty busy?
No, it wasn't. The next day was. We went to do it again the next night.
Really?
Yeah, and but this time, from the lesson learned, I took another person in, so we took 4 people in. Same MO, but this time 2 people on Overwatch, and then we went in and we actually got around the tanks and the T-55s and other Iraqi armored divisions. Came back that night, set up a little observation post in like a gully, and then we were supposed to stay there for a few days. And then in the morning, though, kind of trouble hit again. So as first light was breaking, because we just had the night vision goggles, we didn't see that in this gully that we put the observation post in, that as light was breaking, we could see we're in direct view of a T-55 tank and within range of its main armament. So we were so we had to had the satellite communications, and I contacted the headquarters and said, hey, we need air support because we're going to be troops. We need air support, and they were like, well, there's nothing in the air. Are you troops in contact? And I was like, no, but know this: when they start getting amongst it, eventually they're going to see us, and then we're going to be we're in the middle of nowhere on foot in the desert. So we had this sponsor patrol getting in depth, but so it was like, oh, we have no air support. So then it was the Pathfinder Sergeant Major at the time, Eddie, was super cool, calm, collected guy, really good guy, good operator, good all-round person. And the artillery officer heard them and said, hey, they're in range of the artillery support. So then the Sergeant Major Eddie was like, yeah, do you want to you're in range of artillery. Do you want to do artillery support? I went, yeah, stand by for fire mission. So then I sort of sent a fire mission onto the army division, and I explained to them. So then they said, what we're going to do is we're going to do dolly mix, which is smoke, high explosive followed by smoke, then high explosive again. And then they were saying, well, and I said, right, well, this is the plan. So I give like kind of a plan over the radio and saying, call time on, like, this is a rough timeline, but it's a time on target for 7 a.m. And as soon as the rounds start coming down the artillery, then the sponsor patrol will move to the pickup point, to the emergency RV, and we will get up at foot and move at speed to that RV point, hopefully under the cover of the high explosives and the smoke. It was danger close. And I said to them, it's danger close, so know that I can't adjust any fire. So once they're committed, they're committed. If time on target's at 700, at 0658, we're closing down. And then, so if you've got anything, and this was about 0640, so probably 45 to be fair. And they're saying, these times are memory, and then they're saying like, "Oh, if there's anything happens between now and then we'll go for a 7 a.m. time target." That was all approved. And then on it's 7:58. My call sign was 34 Delta, and it was. I then went onto the radio and said 34 Delta closing down. God save the Queen. And then we closed up. Super obviously everything closing down. Every slowly, deliberately. You could see the Iraqis round the tank, and then at 700 or thereabouts, whatever the time was on the day, all hell broke loose, and all the artillery did an amazing job. It was something I've never seen anything like it. And then we ran on foot, got picked up. As we got picked up, one of our vehicles fired an anti-tank rocket at one of the T-55s.
Wow.
And then left. And that was day 2. And then that was kind of it. That was the least. There was no more real
and this
things
was
after that.
And this is before you were in the SAS.
Yeah.
You were What was the unit called again? The
Pathfinder.
Pathfinders, yeah. You called in a fucking artillery strike on some, was it T-55s?
Yeah, the whole Iraqi armored division. So the whole mix of armored personnel carriers and APC. All.
I mean, does a 155 like actually damage a T? I mean, T-55 is an old tank, but I mean, is it just like blowing the sights and the shit off the top of it?
From what it looked like, I have asked some artillery guys because we're fairly certain it was airburst. So it was just
tearing all the sights and all the guns off the top and shit.
And it would have been all the crew who were outside the tank.
Whoever's hanging on top's gone.
Yeah. Well, no, they weren't because it was like a harbored up position. So people would have just like sleep against the side of the tanks.
They weren't buttoned up. Yeah, they're done.
Yeah. So and then that was it. And then the war pretty much, like the state of war, if you like, just finished a few days after that.
Yeah, because the conventional side of stuff ended pretty quick, right? I mean, you started seeing mass surrendering, desertion, stuff like that.
And then it bubbled away. Nothing really happened, and then I'm not sure how long it then for the insurrection to then start.
Right. And then when did you go to selection after that?
I did selection. I'd already tried selection once before, twice, and then the third time was in 2006.
Wow.
The first 2 times were close together. I picked up an injury the first time round on like the physical side of things, and then the second time, the year later, I got injured again on a different phase of selection, and was supposed to go back, but then I couldn't, and then again it's just strange, not strange how it. Well, it's strange how I got on it because after the 2003, things started going down for me, and I was just like not in the right place. And then lots of people were making lots of money from going on the security circuit, and
I remember that, man. A lot of my friends and roommates were team guys at the time here in the States, right? And if they were having a really hard time retaining. Like senior guys or experienced guys because the pay from Blackwater and Triple Canopy and stuff. So the re-enlistment bonuses for like a couple, like for 3 years was like $150,000.
Yeah, I just saw they raised it. They raised it this week for the Air Force to $180,000 a year. Or not a year, but you can get a one-time re-enlistment bonus of $180,000.
But it's specific to a certain MOS, though, right?
Probably pilots, pilots, nukes. I mean, when I was in the Navy, I was in the Navy for like 5 fucking minutes, but like the nukes were always the guys because they have to go to school for so many years, and like you can get out and go run a civilian nuclear power plant, which they're finally freaking building again. And you've got all this training and stuff. So I mean, they would give them tons of money. The fighter pilots, the SEALs, the nuke guys in the Navy always got insane amounts of money to keep on board.
Glenn would go. I think, well, not Glenn, but a lot of guys would go overseas to do their re-enlistment, do their swearing. And I think it was because you got that money tax free.
Yeah.
Is that how it was with you guys?
There's no bonuses like that, and whatever bonuses they are, they're tiny.
Really?
Yeah, and I think people like doctors and dentists and lawyers, they get good retention bonuses, and pilots maybe.
They didn't have retention bonuses for SAS?
No, not really. Not as far as I'm aware of. But
did you think of going into the private contracting side?
So I was thinking. I was like, right, I'm going to go into that. Then, and I'd signed the paperwork. So like a year, and then I went away on a parachuting trip, and there was only one on that sort of side of it. There's one SAS guy who was on my first selection, who was a friend of mine from my parent unit, and I was saying, I'm getting out in a few months' time. And he's like, "What are you doing, man? Why don't you come to the SAS?" And I was like, I've tried it, filled it, and I just want to get out and make some money and things. He went, mate, this is what I'm doing. He told me what he was up to next, and goes, just do it. And at that time, it was much easier to get on to the courses. Now you have to do like a pre-course, infantry skills course, and probably another lots of courses and things. Back then, the pre-course, or the briefing courses we call it, wasn't even, you didn't have to do it. At that, I think that was the last time. And then I was like, and he goes, just do it, and if you fail it, at least you had another go, and you're still going to get out. But if you pass it, there's a whole new world waiting for you. And it was the best bit of advice I've had. And then so I went back, spoke to the officer commanding, and said, look, I'll sign back on if I can go straight on the next available selection. And I spoke to the selection, and they said, if you can get on it, there's a place. So, and he was like, yeah.
How many SAS? I mean, I don't know if you can tell me, but like ballpark. I mean, I know like SEALs, there's thousands of them. Like, how many roughly SAS guys slots are there?
There's about 2. I think. I mean, there's probably a way of working out, but I'm sure I got told, and like working on it at any one time, there's around about 250.
Yeah, so it's a lot.
Small. It's kind of similar size as I imagine as your tier 1 units.
Yeah, that's interesting, man.
And then so I did it and passed it, and I just put everything out there, and then I passed, and then the rest is history. But it was like I'm so glad, and it just goes to show, just like how one life, just one conversation with one person can change the whole. If he hadn't been on that parachuting trip, then I would have been like
a whole different trajectory.
Yeah,
it would have been, a whole different. No, we wouldn't be sitting here. You'd be doing something else. That's pretty wild, man. I have a question, dude. What to me, it's like, I think it's the coolest looking thing ever. What made you choose the Rhodesian brushstroke for your rifle?
It's just a good camouflage.
It is a good camouflage.
I mean, everyone can. I mean, it isn't someone said it's like the racist camouflage or something, but it's like
I keep hearing that. Oh, not from anybody that I give a shit about, but I'm saying like some people associate it with it. Yeah,
it's just such a good-looking camouflage. That's the whole top and bottom of it. It's just a cool camouflage.
Yeah, I love it.
That tiger stripe, I think, is pretty cool. And
tiger stripe is very cool.
A lot of people think the old school British Army camouflage is cool. I don't. But I see it. But it's like what's the woodland American camo?
Those are the M81s,
something like that. And it's like that's
Woodland's the way to go, man. I do like yours though, and we need to see like Warrior. I don't know if y'all wear the shirts from Warrior, which are great shirts. We need to see Warrior make a freaking camo. You need to work with them to like make a freaking shirt. I think I'd buy one. I'd buy fucking 4 of them.
Well, yeah. I've got my company now. Oh, there's the company, the Ministry.
Oh, you do? Oh, shit.
Ministry of Defense. Dude. Yeah.
All right.
So I want to hear about this, man. So tell me about this.
So the Ministry of Defense brand is my company, and it's based in the United States, and it's a developing company. So I've got backers, and I work very closely, as you know, with Field Ethos, and we're just, for now, it was like making baby steps, making merch, caps. There's the Bible and things, and then we're doing collaborations.
You're doing a Bible?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you write it?
The new translation.
Put an annex in there.
the Queen's English translation of the Bible.
Change some water into wine.
Water in a sherry.
Hey, so is the website live?
The website's up and running. You can buy a lot of the initial stuff sold out. You can buy I think there's still a few we call it the armor upgrade for the Bible. It's like a pocket Bible. I think I've got one here, but it's not in this room. And I'm
gonna go buy one. That sounds awesome.
I'll go buy one too.
And then that's going to slowly change. We're going to do some collaborations. We're going to do more sort of clothing, different clothing. Like I say, collaborations, knives, equipment, and then. Eventually, one of the possibilities it could develop into a training thing. So,
that'd be awesome.
So if you want to do some training with me, it's like a point of contact, or any sort of dealings with me, the Ministry of Defense would be. That's how it would turn into like a training place.
That's
I like it.
awesome.
Did you see that movie, The Ministry of Ungenly Warfare, as like an essay? I mean, it's based off a real mission. I mean, I know they really super embellished it a lot, but I mean, what did you think of that movie?
I didn't see it. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, dude, it's pretty good.
I've heard mixed reports. I've heard some people say it's really good, and other people saying don't watch it.
I mean, it's completely full of shit, but I mean, it's entertaining.
Yeah, I heard that. I saw people talking about it online, and people said it was a lot better than they expected it to be.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
I'm just disappointed completely in like Hollywood right now, and every movie, every TV, there's always some message in there. It's never just like just tell a story, and then.
See, I want to know, like, when they make the movie about you, who's gonna play you?
It's always a good question, and it's I mean, it's been since 2019. A lot of people have been speculating about it. There's been, but I think if modern Hollywood's got anything to do with it, I think Kevin Hart is going to step up. So.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like a really hip like black actress, you know.
Yeah.
Not Henry Cavill like every other British star out there.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who I know I'd like to, if it ever got made into a movie, like, oh yeah, he did a good job. There's a whole list of characters who I could imagine. And I've put
If you had to pick, who would play you? You got somebody in mind?
I mean, to me, it would come down to Travis Kimmel,
All right.
the Aussie guy from Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Charlie Hunnam would be a good job.
Yeah, he's okay. I know who that is. All right.
But he's from the north. He's got the same accent, or not the same as mine, but it's a similar accent to mine. He would do a good job, as would. But then you've got the likes of Jason Statham and Tom Hardy, the big heavyweights coming in. Who
Tom Hardy would be a good one to do. I love fucking Tom Hardy. He's awesome.
So I mean that they're the ones that. Like,
has anyone ever approached you about a script or an opportunity like that?
Yeah. People have approached me, and it's.
Are you open to it?
How it would work if I was, would be the any story about I would work with them for anything about my life, and anything about Kenya, about that day, they would just have to take it from eyewitness reports, people who I've worked with, people who've heard my presentation in the military. So they've got all the information to them. It just wouldn't be me confirming. I would neither confirm nor deny that's what happened. And to be fair, when from turning up to leaving, they would probably put their spin on things as well. So. But I would only be involved with the make sure my life's
it's
correct.
It's gonna be your whole life, and it's gonna be that famous picture of you running into the building, and it's gonna be like credits.
The end, yeah.
And just explaining what happened.
But it's good because like the way I would like to see it is the book One Man In, which is currently not coming out. But if it did, that jumps back and forth because the story, not the real story. What I did that day, kind of people turned up. Terrorists were alive. I turned up, left. Terrorists dead, and that in between is just the detail. There's no tactics or anything in there. The story is of how the book works. Is it starts off that morning in Kenya, but then it moves on a bit, and then it flicks back to my childhood, to being a young boy. Then flicks back to Kenya. Then flicks back to childhood again. Then flicks back to goes to Kenya. Then to joining the army. Then to Kenya, then to killing someone for the first time. Well, I've told this story there, so it's back and forth because the what people would say is that the story isn't the story just as big as the story is what happened that day. Is the story is who is the man who did that? It's like what events happened in life that made him the way he is and stuff and that. So that's the story.
Is there
the
any
best
hope?
style is I think because you and I have talked about this stuff. Like you and I have talked off. In private, we're at a ranch, whatever. That your whole life kind of like made you the perfect person at the perfect time for that, and I that kind of juxtaposition between earlier in life and then that earlier in life probably tells that story pretty well to see how that would miraculously just kind of align.
Yeah, I think it's and I know the frustrating thing is that. There's lots of people out there who want to make this movie, and people have been approached about making the movie, and not me. But so I think whatever happens is going to be a movie
You might want some
about
say in it, though.
Yeah, you would. And
I would hope.
I'd like to think that someone, if they were making a movie and they were going to go, right, I don't know what legal things there are if they say, because they might not include me in it, because they might say, well, according to official reports, he wasn't even there. And then
I think it'd be kind of hard to remove you from that story.
But if they were there, you'd like to think, wouldn't you? Because if I was to chip in and go, that's absolute, it kind of damns the movie a bit. Could potentially damn it if I said this is not true. None of this is just complete hogwash.
Well, so real quick, circling back, are you certain that the book possibility is dead, or is it on hold right now? Is it possible that still happens?
It could come out like because the way I look at it is people change.
My question was going to be like, there's elections. I mean,
policies change, people change, opinions change. So it's never say never. Right now, the book's not coming out, but you never know in the future. Like it could. All I will say, according to me, but not according to the courts and the MOD, there is nothing secret in this book. There is nothing secret. Like I worked with disclosure, with MOD disclosure leading up to it, which they then denied. But or kind of loosely, not denied, but it doesn't matter. They didn't deny it, but I worked with them, so there's nothing sensitive in there. But then all of a sudden, something apparently is sensitive. So it doesn't really matter about that. Again, that's my opinion. The courts ruled against it. As the MOD didn't allow it, then the courts ruled against it when I challenged it. So that's it. Kind of at this minute dead. But like I say, policies change, opinions change, and hopefully they'll see it is what it is. It's a great story. And it's a great story on so many levels, and the irony is no one from the military has really read it. Just some, it's just like the disclosure cell guys read it, and no one from the people who are against it the most haven't even read it. So they what in my mind this is how it works is they imagined that this is going on, and again I'm going to say this, cowardly members of other elements have said, oh yeah, we'll do it. So it's just,
and I don't know how things work over there, but I know y'all have elections coming up on July 4th because I'm going to be going on vacation to Scotland in a couple weeks. Like, so I was looking at that, like y'all are having elections again.
Right. It could be there's a whole.
Does that change anything or no?
That's what I'm saying. Is people change, policies change, and even the stance from whoever's blocking it might say, do you know what, we need to put this out or not. But and it kind of doesn't really. I think the strange thing is what they've done is by not letting if they let the book come out when it was supposed to come out, it would have came out and died away. There's more interest in the story now. By blocking the book, there's more interest in what I did in Kenya and what happened that day, which isn't, like I said, people might be disappointed, but like I said, I did a lot more than what people think I did, and it's a great story, but. Like I say, by them stopping this book coming out, it was just made people more interested in it.
In the book, do you talk about what happened inside the hotel?
Yeah. But I don't go into any tactical detail or things like that. But I talk about what happened.
I remember you telling me we were sitting out on a bench and the fucking hair on my neck stood up. Like it's the story I hope can be told. It's quite not even the violence of it, but like the humanity of it. You know, it's a story I really hope can be told. And
I think some of the elements of this as well is like when I heard the term the white savior, and it can haven't been walked out. Who knows? But it's just a great story.
No,
and it covers so many levels, and it's. Like I'm not just like, and I should add as well, people know this, that I've had nothing but support from members of my old unit, the SAS, both serving members and previous members. Everyone is saying this is a story that needs to be told, and they all want to hear it. So no one said to me, "Don't worry, you shouldn't write a book, you shouldn't talk about it." Everyone wants to know about it, and there might be, someone might say, "I know someone who said you shouldn't be doing this," maybe, but I've had nothing. No one said anything to me other than support and well done and keep going.
So. I saw that you introduced Trump at a rally. Was it New Jersey? Or where was it?
It wasn't an introduction. I was just like speaking before he came on.
I see. So it was
that soundbite, because that soundbite was maybe just trying to get the audience that didn't need much work, getting them riled up.
Dude, so I was at NRAM and I saw Trump. This was my first time I ever saw Trump speak in person, and he's an entertainer. I mean, he's more of a comedian than he is like an orator or something, you know.
Well, so I did that.
I mean, he's very funny. Like he's a very funny guy.
I did that speaking at the at that rally, and I was still buzzing afterwards. But the following week, I met him again at.
Well, yeah, we watched him together. Never mind, we were together at
NRA, and the and that's what I say. It's like it was funny. It was like like people were like genuinely just not just I'm just laughing. It was so entertaining.
Aside from the fact that I actually really do like his positions on foreign policy, on the economy, on trade, on the border, on the culture, the wokeness, the bullshit. He's. I mean, I can see even if someone wasn't familiar with the actual policies, like I can see the appeal if you've ever listened to him in an uncurated, unedited way. I can see why people hate him if you watch him on MSNBC and they edit something completely out of context, and But to sit there and just listen to the whole show, it's pretty entertaining. I mean, it's actually a fun time.
If you listen to anybody and you talk for an hour, and like just this podcast, I'm sure if they took the one thing you hate and played it over and over and over again.
It's like the same thing of like if someone could, and it's happened to me before on a BBC interview. Is I was talking about trying to stop young people from killing themselves, and they just mentioned about Kenya. Next thing you know, the MOD were kicking off saying, "Oh, he's talking about Kenya on national TV." I'm like. And my legal team were thinking, well, and I said to them as well, it kind of stinks of that. Whoever's putting this complaint in didn't even watch the interview.
Yeah, I said it was like 3 seconds out of 1 hour. Yeah,
and I did. This is a funny story. On the Trump rally. So I did my speech, and I then sat down. I was the speaker before Trump, so I got ushered into the VIP seating. And do you know who Lawrence Taylor Jack?
Of course,
Anderson.
yeah.
Is it Lawrence Taylor Anderson?
Lawrence Taylor, the football player?
Yeah.
He's like the greatest of all, one of the greatest of all time, yeah.
So Lawrence Taylor Anderson. So I moved into the seating area, and the seat next to me we've got tags on it. There was one for Christian Craighead, and the one next to it says LT Anderson. Mm-hmm. And I looked down and saw it, and then I wonder who that guy is. And then all of a sudden, this big, like 6 foot, it must be 6 foot.
Yeah, the Lawrence Taylor's crazy motherfucker. I mean, yeah.
But he's big, and he's like looks down and goes, "Hey man, is this my seat?" And I look and goes, "Oh, are you Lieutenant Anderson?" and because I thought it might be like some fire official or from the fire department or police department or something. No. And then he started laughing. Goes, "Yeah, I'm LT Anderson." And I was like, "All right, that's your seat then." And then someone reached over and goes, "He's like famous for," and I goes, "Oh, I'm English. I don't know much about American football."
So my where I was going though is how did they contact you? Or how did that start?
I think well, there's just the story of how I met President Trump and know I'm friends with Don Jr. and things, but the main catalyst was when I spoke about hunting at the SCI in Nashville, and the certain personalities were there, and they heard me speak to that, and they were like, "Hey, we need him to speak at Trump rally."
No, that's awesome, man. Did you go to the SCI Dallas?
No,
you did. What's his name?
Dallas Safari Club.
Dallas Safari Club. Yeah. What's his name? The Yellowstone. What's the?
Yeah. Cole
Hauser. Yeah. I'm so bummed I missed that. Jade had.
It always drives me crazy that it's like literally the weekend before SHOT Show. Like it makes it tough. Like if you're trying to do both.
I think next year there's an overlap, isn't it?
I think so.
The SCI.
They're really close
like
overlap.
SCI, Dallas Safari, and SHOT Show all
are they same weekend? That's fucking crazy. Yeah, I don't understand why they do that because like it makes it so hard. Like for us, like we don't go to SCI Dallas because, we'd have to have 2 completely giant crews of people to do both, and it makes it tough. So unless you're, yeah,
I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Are you going to be more active on as the campaign goes on? Do you see yourself doing more?
I don't know. I don't think
or
so.
traveling?
I don't. If they ask, I'll probably chip in and help. And this is the thing when people, it's a strange days we're in. And am I political? Not really. I help people who help me, and help and acknowledge me, and that's all. That's how that really started. Is because it's not because I'm a diehard Trump supporter. It's about that he helped me, and I'm friends with his family.
Yeah.
And things like that, and I do agree with most of his policies.
No, completely.
But so it's me helping. But what's strange now is when some people say, "Oh, you shouldn't have done this with Trump," and I said, "Well, it's better than it's better than just sitting there and going, yeah, I'm a Trump supporter." But when they ask you, say, "Oh, sorry about that," because you know what that stinks of? Everything circles back to Kenya. It's about, why did you run into that hotel? Well, I could have sat outside and didn't. When I get the phone call from a campaign manager saying, "We want you to speak to 100,000 people," I could just say, "No, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to polarize the audience."
Yeah,
it's me. It's like, no, who dares wins. Let's make something of it. It's an opportunity. Again, from my background and upbringings, to speak to over 100,000 people. That in itself is an honor. It doesn't matter who it's for, and that's the thing now. And so it all goes back to just being like cowardice has got lots of forms, and just sitting there on your hands, just going, "Oh yeah, well I support this and I support that," and not speaking up when people want to hear your voice is cowardice.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, fuck all that. Like I've stopped. You should adopt this. Just stop giving a shit, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't give a shit, but it's like when people say that, I'm just like, "Hey, what else am I? What I'm going to go? No, I'm busy. No, I don't want to." It's like that's a good opportunity, and it's
well, like I said,
it's something that I like support and I want to represent.
The only place that anybody ever gets that kind of negative feedback though is like online. I guarantee you, nobody in your real life has ever come up to you and said, "Geez, Christian, I wish you wouldn't have done that." That's never happened in your fucking real life, dude.
No.
Same thing. Like, so, I've gotten to know Tulsi Gabbard, pretty well over the last couple of years. She shoots her rifles. She's also a staccato, shooter, and very, very centrist, very reasonable person. And when I post a picture of her shooting a rifle or something, there's always a few comments in there that are, really highly fucking, negative and just kind of vile. And and number one, it's always hilarious when you go click on that person's profile, and I'm like, and I'll write sometimes if I'm in the mood, I'll write something condescending to like, "I'm so glad that the gatekeeper of the entire Second Amendment community decided to chime in. Thank you very much." Thank you very much for chiming in. And the other thing too is, compared to what, like if someone gives anybody shit about supporting Trump or at least being, if that's who you're gonna cast your vote for, compared to what? Like I was out there at Staccato watching Tulsi do that workout, and then we were all shooting. Could you imagine Kamala Harris going out to a fucking field full of veterans armed and doing workouts and shooting guns? Like, could you imagine Kamala? So I'd
like to see it. I would like to see it.
You would like to see it, yeah. You'd be a cold day in hell, my man.
With Hillary Clinton in tow.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. Yeah, they'd be so supportive of all of that. All of fucking buffoons, dude. And so I don't know. Like, I think Tulsi probably is on the short list for at least being considered for probably a vice presidential pick. It sounds like
she is, yeah.
Or like some kind of cabinet position. But if I had to, again though, when you compared to like, really, anyway, she's super cool, super personable. I just that some of that feedback comes from buffoons and clowns on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very easy to ignore.
It's another sign of the times where if I'd chipped in about my support for the Biden administration, well within my rights to, and no one would have really there would have been any. Well, there would have been some criticism from my friends, but
I wouldn't be building you a rifle, Christian.
But that's the thing is everyone's going, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that." I bet no one would have said, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that." And I said, "Well, I just did it because that means everyone's going to love me in the media."
You know what drives me? I was about to say, what really drives me fucking crazy is that everybody spends all day on the internet trying to change everybody's mind and running their mouth and doing all this shit. And then you look at someone like Tulsi that actually realized she was wrong, changed her mind, and has, adopted a new point of view. And everybody's like, fuck her.
Yeah.
I'm like, you literally spend your entire day online trying to get people to change their mind. And when someone actually changes their mind, you don't believe them.
That's the thing. It's
fucking
free.
retarded.
It's always free speech as long as it's something people agree with. And
Yeah,
then and then everyone's got something to say about it.
I have there's this weird level of absolutism and purism that some people have, and I would have to imagine that if you're the kind of person that writes something like that online, you probably have no friends, because most well-adjusted people don't run around online talking shit.
I mean, again, you hear of comments, and some people are like legit people commenting, and you're just thinking, do you know what? Again, it's this arrogance of, or you've let yourself down or something, and you're like,
what?
And you're like, it's not fucking
like you follow me. I didn't go to your page and ask you for your opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
and I love it. And please keep it coming. I love it when someone tells me they're on, like, I don't read anymore. The only comments I see is when I log on, and if they're in like the initial things, but I don't go through the comment section, reading comments. But it's funny when everyone says they're unfollowed. Oh, thanks. Thanks for letting everyone
Later,
know that
bitch.
you unfollowed. and then go to have to put another 3 messages behind about arguing with other people. And the other thing again is you can unfollow me. I mean, it's hard to follow me these days. I'm not shadow banned, but if you
welcome to the war, man.
But that's the thing is, if you don't follow me, but then you still look at me every single day and look at my stories every single day, you kind of follow me.
Dude, my favorite thing to do is just go into something that I post or like we posted or something, just dropping a bomb and just like putting my phone down for a few hours and be like, I don't give a shit.
But this is a good example of, do you know, like modern, like how especially governments, organizations, even sports, like sporting organizations, everything. So I post the picture of me at the rally, or the video of me in a rally. And a lot of people did unfollow. So I think it was like 1,400 people unfollowed me that day when I looked at the stats. And I'm like, that's a lot of people. A knee-jerk reaction could have been, all right, I better not post anything about Donald Trump ever again because that was really unpopular. But then you look, again, I haven't got that many followers. I've got a lot, but I haven't got that many. But over 25,000 people physically liked the video. But that's how it works these days. People get more wrapped up in it. So that's what I try to train myself to do now, is be more positive. Instead of going, 1,400 people unfollowed me. But also 25,000 people plus liked it. So it's
we're not going to miss the 1,400.
But that's what I'm saying is happening in modern society now. Is like with government organisations, with anything. It's like, oh look, we're bowing down to the small minority.
100,000 people liked what I said, but 1,000 didn't. So we're going to do what the 1,000 want. Like, fuck that.
Well, I've drawn a line in the sand, so I don't care if 100,000 people, did like just whatever. Like, if the topic is transitioning kids, or if the topic is an open border, I don't care if it's me versus a million people. Like, this is a position that I'm unwilling to compromise on, that I'm unwilling to negotiate on, and like, I'm not ashamed at all. I am perfectly fine with disagreeing with somebody because,
And this is the thing where social media is taking us all. Is like, if you follow Christian Craighead on social media, you're following me as a human being, and I run my social media.
Yeah, they're really talking to you.
And this is the thing which I'm doing and it's not, again, I think I've talked far too much about politics than I'm comfortable with. But here's the thing is if you're following me, and it's better me being genuine, saying, look, I support Donald Trump because he supported me and all the other reasons. And it doesn't really matter, even if I said I support Biden, or if I'm UK Conservative or UK Labour or Reform Party, it doesn't really matter. It's just me, and I do have one of my best friends is a big Democrat supporter, voted for Biden the last time, and it's not, and she doesn't draw the line going, I'm not going to speak to you because you did a Trump rally. She was like, oh yeah, she gets why I did it. Yeah. And that's how life in social media would be. If you're following maybe like a sporting organization or company, and they say something, then you might have a right to get upset about it. But if you're following an individual, the reason why I'm saying what I do, I post what I do, is because I believe in it, or because it's me. It's like, and it's a sad times if you say we don't want to be your friend because you support this guy.
Yeah, I am unapologetic about saying that publicly. I am absolutely voting for Trump because I think it's an existential type of scenario right now. Like I think if Trump does not win this time, I don't think the country can recover from another 4 years of this fucking madness. Now, I'll be honest. Don Jr. is a true gun guy. He is. I mean, he is legitimately into guns. He's very much into the culture. I know he shoots competitively. Like, he is for real. Like, that is without doubt. I know that we know that from just we all have friends. You know, So we know this. Donald Trump Sr., President Trump, he does scare me a little bit because, and I don't know why people have kind of this expectation, but Trump is a New York real estate mogul. I don't understand why people think that he would have, a super interest like in guns and things like that. What does frighten me is that some of the worst gun legislation that has been passed historically have happened under Republican presidents. If you look at the Hughes Amendment under Reagan, the Brady Improvement Act under Bush, there was a lot of bad gun law passed under Republican presidents because if a Republican president gets on board with it, there's nobody to oppose him. Now, if Biden proposes something, he's going to run into a wall of opposition. If a Republican proposes it, it's like the bump stocks with Trump. Unfortunately, that was like till this day. I talk to people that like I would love Trump if not for the bump stocks. That scares me. But with that being said, even at the risk of him not being truly versed on the gun situation, you cannot have an open fucking border. You cannot have I think this unending support for some of these foreign wars with and again, I do not want to see that the other ideology win. I don't want to validate this madness. So while I am concerned about the gun situation a little bit, that he's not particularly strong on it, that's a risk that I'm absolutely willing to take.
I'd rather be sitting here fighting about, using our influence to fight, for the gun rights and doing stuff like that than have to fight for 100 different things, the open borders and all the other crazy bullshit going on.
You look at this stuff, dude. I mean, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. I think. What is housing going to look like when they're at the age to buy a home? Look at the housing situation right now.
A really nice tent, 2-bedroom tent,
yeah,
no bathroom.
Well, but think about that, like right now, or if there is a centralized digital currency. If you look at just your ability to transact, if I believe that if Biden were to somehow win, or whoever they put in his place, because I don't think they're going to let that senile fuck run. To be honest,
it sounds like they're accelerating that shit because he wasn't going to be on the fucking ballot in Ohio. Do you see that stuff? They're planning on doing it. I think next week after, shit like that.
I honestly think they're going to put in Michelle Obama. I would bet good money on Michelle Obama being the actual.
I think at this point he'd have to fucking die. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Nothing's off the table at this point.
But anyways, back. Sorry, didn't mean to go off on that rant, Christian. Hey, man, we're going to be releasing your rifle here pretty soon. We're really excited about it. I was at that event at Staccato, and I got asked by at least 100 people when that rifle was going to be available for sale. When do you want to drop this thing?
I don't know.
To be ironic, I would say July 4th, but.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's like make all my British friend.
Is it the? Let's see if my American. Is it the 6th of December, the Tea Party? Or is it
that would actually be pretty funny. Actually, doing it for I think it's the 10th of December. Actually, but yeah, doing the Boston Tea Party, that'd be pretty funny.
Is it the 10th?
I think it's the 10th. It's the 6th or 10th. It's one or the other.
I should know this.
It's early December. I know that.
Yeah, but that's a while away. But I know, like, I'll leave that to you guys when you're on the commercial side or whatever.
Okay.
So.
Well, we're excited to do it, man. It's good to see you as always.
If anyone wants to see any good images of it as well, it's
so if you added both our days together, we're right.
Yeah, that's it. But on the Ministry of Defense, so it's theministryofdefense.com, that website, and then there's some good strong images of that rifle set up.
Oh yeah,
The Sons of Liberty rifle that I use.
No, I'm excited, man. We were both supposed to be in Africa right now.
Yeah, heading there.
Have you told you? Did Jason make it over? Is he there with
Yeah,
Kevin?
he's there. Yeah, we're going to do something hopefully sooner rather than later than the.
I mean, he makes it look like he lives there at this point.
Then yeah, something.
Kevin pretty much does.
I'll be at a state. I don't know when it's coming along, but soon I'll be in a state where I'm not allowed to leave the US because of immigration stuff. So I'll be tied to the US for a little bit.
You're going for full on citizenship, though.
Yeah, I mean it takes 5 years.
I will marry you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's any fast tracks or whatever.
Just buy a boat. I'll be the
legitimately,
captain. I'll marry y'all. Let's do it.
I will marry you, and nobody is allowed to say a damn thing because that's just how things.
But you're the wife.
We're gonna turn the video off for the rest of this podcast now.
Hey man, it's good to see you. I'm glad you came down, and I mean, this is a close second place to being in Africa. So
it feels like Africa.
It's hot as fuck, yeah.
All right, guys. Kyle, got anything?
No, I'm good, man. Hey, thanks everybody for coming out, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today right here at the Liberty Tree Studio. But be sure to visit us at solgw.com for hard use blasters, badass swag, and much, much more.